My name is Charleen Renati, and this is slip trailing. So I am local. I'm from Los Gatos. Here's Dave. I work out of Blossom Hill Crafts, and I've been there for like 28 years. I did the math when Joanne Bryce passed to figure out how long I've known her. So it was a blessing to have her in my life. So now we are doing slip trailing today. So what I'm going to talk about first is talk a little bit about slip trailers. We're going to talk about making slip, because believe it or not everyone knows how to make it. So we'll do that, and it's important to get the right texture and consistency. Then I'm going to do some demos on slip trailing, and we're going to talk a little bit about the different ways to glaze them to highlight your slip trailing, because that's kind of important. The first thing I'm going to talk about is the slip trailers themselves. So like I said, these babies are like about $5. You can get them with all sorts of different sizes. So here's a smaller, what do you call this? A smaller needle, a larger needle. These ones are cheap. You buy the needles separately. This is, how do you pronounce it? Xiem? Xiem? X-I-E-M?
Zim. Oh, yeah.
Zim? Yeah. These are hecka expensive. But they come with multiple different sizes when you buy it. And it is a little more ergonomic. So don't run out and buy one of these today. But if you do it a lot, it's kind of nice. So that's that. So the next thing we're going to talk about is quite simply making slip. It's super easy. All I do is you just mix clay with water and mix it with a blender. You can use your trimmings. You can use your slag from your bucket. You can use your recycle. You can use whatever you want. The important thing to think about, you want to think about what clay body. So your first choice for making slip is going to be the same clay body that you're using. So if I'm using B-Mix today, so we're using a B-Mix slip. You don't have to. You can do a contrasting color, and that's lovely, but you want to start with the same kind of slip, because then you're going to have less shrinking problems. If you do have shrinking problems with your slip trailings popping off, you want to consider switching your slip. So that's it, and we got our blender, and we're just going to add some water and mix it up. When I make slip for slip trailing, I just do slip and water. Now, you can use deflocculated slip. So deflocculated slip is good because you have a higher ratio of clay to water, so less shrinkage. So I do not use deflocculated slip because I find I don't need it. I do all my slip trailing on leather hard, medium leather hard, soft leather hard, to just straight on the wheel wet clay. If you want to slip trail on bone dry, you can spritz it with a little bit of water, or hard leather hard, then you're going to want to deflocculate it. So deflocculating, you simply add a few drops of Darwin 7 to this, or sodium silicate. It's going to get super thin, and then you add more slip. And then you're bumping up your clay to water ratio, you're going to get less shrinkage. So I just start with this. I like to do it on leather hard, soft leather hard, and I have no problems. If you feel like you have problems with the clay being too dry, if you want to work on a drier surface, then you need to deflocculate. So there's plenty of videos. It's super easy. It's a really fun chemistry experiment. So I recommend you try it. So I'm just going to finish this. And just add some more water. All right, so I mean, I'm working on it. We're almost there. Okay, so the consistency I'm going for, some people say slip should be heavy cream. I think it's more like a yogurt, what I'm working on. I never liked the heavy cream thing. I don't know, I don't think that's right. I mean, it's pretty thick. What I want to show you really quick is just how to make colored slip. It's super easy. Just use mason stains. So here I have Vivid Blue number 6313. And I know there are recipes about how to do it, but I don't worry about that. So for something like this, I'd say maybe 3 teaspoons-ish. And just add it till it looks good. So here's my Vivid Blue mason stain. I'm going to mix it a tiny bit. And that is nowhere blue enough for me. So we're going for more.
Is the clay you're using have no grog in it?
Yes, correct. So that's the other important thing you have to think about with your clay selection. So I'm using B-Mix. That's going to go through here. This clay body that I use is Imco's Navajo Wheel, and that's going to go through. If you use like Bravo Buff, Groggy, it ain't going to squeeze through here. So you have to pick. So if your base clay is a groggy clay, you can't use that. You have to try something else. So that's an excellent point. And okay, so I'm adding a lot more.
Does the mason stain stay true to color after it's fired?
Yes, absolutely. The lower temperature, the more true. So a cone 5 is going to be better than a cone 10. I picked Vivid Blue because Vivid Blue looks awesome in cone 10. It stays true all the way. Not all the colors are like that. Okay. So I'm probably good on this.
Do you find that the colors are kind of a WYSIWYG, so this blue that we're seeing now is about what it fires out to, or?
Absolutely, yes. So that's what I have right now. I'm going to mix it up a little bit.
Do you have vinegar in that or no?
No. No, I just do. What does vinegar do when you add it to it?
Well, just like I don't think it's mustard.
Yeah.
You get stinky sometimes?
Yeah,
I do it.
it won't hurt. Go for it.
So I'm sorry. Why would you ask me?
Oh, I was just asking if she did it. I do it when I attach things, and I do it when I'm making my recycled clay.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So to get the slip into the slip bottle, that's another good question. When I first started this, I used a funnel, and don't do that. That's bad news. So just squeeze all the air out, go in here, and just suck it up. No, I swear I didn't know that for the longest time. I sat there with a funnel and shoved it in. It really sucked.
No, it didn't suck. It sucks now.
It sucks now.
Currently, it's
I know. Okay, so I think the hardest thing about slip trailing is just getting it to be the right consistency. So I have students in my studio who will try it. They'll use the jar of slip that's on the thing. They'll be like, it doesn't work. And I'm like, yes, you just add a little water or dry it out. So I'm gonna do, can you see me if I'm here? I'm going to demo this on white paper just because you can see it. Okay, so you want to shake it down to get the bubbles out. And then I just do some tests to see how it's flowing out. And that's basically how I do it. So I adjust in the bottle. People are going to ask me, what's the perfect consistency? What's the right recipe? I got no right recipe. It depends on how thick, what size nib you have. It depends on the clay body you're using. It depends on how dry the ware is that you're putting it on. And it depends on your personal preference. Different people have different looks. It's got to flow nice out of here. The way I adjust it, because that might be a little thick, is I've learned by trial and error too. I add water drops at a time. Do not stick this under the faucet and try to do it. So I'll just literally add like, 5 drops and I adjust it. And I check it pretty frequently because, if I let my bottle sit for a few days, I'll check it again and adjust it. So let's see. So that looks, okay, so now I got a splurt. That happens all the time. All right. So this is looking pretty good. I could probably still add a little more water to this to make it flow better. If it's really too thick, it's going to be tough to squeeze. It's going to hurt your hand. And you're also going to get a lot of skips in your ware, in your line. I don't worry about having the line uniform all the time. I recognize that skips are part of the beauty of slip trailing. So, no, seriously, like if you look at this piece, it's all skipped, right? I don't have a solid line. I know. If you look at this piece when you come up close, it's not a solid line. I have skips. I fought it for a long time to try to make the line perfect with no skips in my slip trailing whatsoever. Yeah, it killed me. So if you look at this ware, I'll have little skips. I consider that part of the character. I consider that part of the nature of slip trailing. I don't fight it. If I'm having a skip, like, if I'm trying to write out coffee or something, then maybe not so much because you can't read it. But otherwise, I just roll with it. Up here, I have examples of 2 different ways to finish your pieces, to glaze them, and you want to think about that. So over here on this side, I have ware that is all done with a glaze that breaks. So all this stuff is breaking over the slip. So there's an application of slip trailing. I glaze it, it breaks. People ask me if I wipe it off. I don't. I just find a glaze that breaks super, super nice. So this is I made these glazes myself. This is John Britt Cone 5 Folk Art White. And this is John Britt Cone 5 Aramont. So you gotta search to find glazes that break. So that's one option for slip trailing. So all this is Navajo wheel clay with Navajo wheel trailing, with a nice glaze on top that breaks really well. So that's your one option. Your other option is going to be to go with a translucent glaze. So this is, this has a bunch of stuff going on. So this has some incising, some slip trailing, a glaze wash on it, and some underglaze. So you can combine your slip trailing with a lot of different things. I'm using a Celadon on this, so you're able to see the slip trailing because it's a transparent glaze. So a Celadon or a clear. So you're either going to go for a transparent glaze or a glaze that breaks really nicely. So those are your two options. Yes?
Have you found a clear glaze for your Navajo wheel that... No. Okay. I'm going home.
No. What do you use? What do you
Navajo
use?
wheel, and I love the toasty look of the clay, but I'd like to be able to glaze the surface, still keep that warm brown.
Oh, no, you don't. No. So when you clear glaze it, it turns, it doesn't stay this red, it turns brown, and I think it looks gorgeous. And I forgot to bring a piece here, but for example, I'll use Navajo wheel with a white slip trailing on it, and then I'll, dip half of it like this in a clear, which is going to turn it a dark, very dark. What would you call it? Like a darkish browny muddy.
Maybe it's the clear that I'm using.
I think it's gorgeous. I have trouble. My clears come out a little cloudy, so that's why I shook my head because I haven't. Yes.
Do you ever put a base coat of colored slip
You absolutely can.
and then let it set up and slip trail?
You absolutely can. Yeah. Anything you want. Sky's the limit on this one. Okay, so when I'm doing designs with slip trailing, if I need to make any marks on my piece, I just use watered down food coloring. My lines aren't always straight on these, so I need to help myself out a little bit. Okay, so first thing I'm doing when I slip trail is, like, every time I practice on a piece of paper, because every single time it's going to come out of your bulb a little differently. Okay, so right now I'm getting a lot of, I'm not getting well, now it's better.
Is that because of air bubbles or?
No, it's just a little dry. I'm just going to add a little more water to it. So, I mean, that's really, I'm serious, the most important thing here is success is just make sure your slip trailing is the right consistency and just, take a few minutes to make sure it's right. So we'll see. So I'm still getting a few more skips here than I want. So I'm going to add a little more water, so trial and error on this.
Charleen, when you're doing something like the coffee mug you showed with the word coffee,
Yeah,
are you writing it ahead of time, or are you just good at?
I just
putting
freehand it.
Okay.
Okay, one of the reasons I love slip trailing is that you can erase your mistakes. So I've done so many different, I'm working on different surface design like Mishima, like carving, like sgraffito, and hats off to people who carve. I mean, it's gorgeous and I hate it. It's so hard. I can't do it. So one of the things I love about slip trailing is it is so forgiving. You make a mistake, you clean it up. I don't advocate fixing every mistake because some of it is, the beauty of it. I got to let myself go. But you make a major mistake, you get out your sponge, you fix it. It's super easy. So that's why I like it. So quite simply, I always work here on my lap. And I'm just doing some dots and some lines, super simple. When I do large dots, you need to wait maybe about 10-15 minutes and go back and smush the dots down again, especially if it's like on a coffee cup, because they get kind of sharp. Now, the reason why I'm showing you one of these pieces that's round, like a coffee cup or a vase or something like that, is because I don't do the whole piece at once because it's sitting in my lap. So I will basically do a third of it and then come back and do a third of it again later, and then do another third of it. So if I'm working on a coffee cup, set of 4, I do one, do the other. By the time I get to the third one, we're good. So that's, so, you know, probably do about a third of this, let it sit, and then I can hold it and do the rest of it.
Yeah, it looks like one of the things you're not doing is touching the tip.
Correct.
Down, right?
Correct.
Okay.
So if you touch the tip down, it's going to carve out a little bit of it, and it's also going to be a flatter line. So if you want a raised line, you have to be up above. If you don't like that, if you do work on, say, a bone dry, then you can drag. But yeah, it's not even bone dry. You have to get bone dry and you have to spray it and then do it. So that's one of the advantages of working a little drier, is you can do that. Yes, you do have to keep it elevated. And I'm just going to section this off. And then, let me think. That's going to be like that. It's going to be like that. Okay. So once again, I'm going like this. And so let's see. I don't know who can see this. I'm sorry. Can the camera see it? So this is more of a leaf thingy.
What are you using to mark your guidelines with?
Oh, that is watered down food coloring.
Oh.
Yeah. I just like it because I don't get any, it doesn't indent the clay.
And that color burns out?
Absolutely.
Any color? Food color?
I hope so. I don't know, man. And then we're going to put a little stem on here. We're going to go around here. We're going to put a big dot. Everyone loves dots. Okay, so we're starting like that.
What needle are you using to make that size line?
This, on the Exium, this is the, what color is this mauve? I don't know. They're color coded. So come up and look at the color and you can figure it out. Yeah. So I'll do one more of these and then I think you guys are good to practice. Any questions that I've missed?
So you were mentioning that that is the most ergonomic bottle to use?
Yes, I like it. It's not, it's kind of pricey though. So if you're just starting out, I recommend the other one, but what I'm not showing here is I haven't made a mistake. Oh, I did make a mistake. That's great. Okay, so when you make a mistake, this is great. I want to show this. So I just had like a, I don't know, it farted. There was like an air bubble there, right? So I take a flat brush like this, and then just a little bit of water, and then I just brush it out. And now it's gone. Right, so that's why I like it. I also sometimes use this kind of tool for fixing mistakes. I'm not sure what this is called. This is called, a color shaper. It's for painting, you'll find it in a painting store. So these ones work too. Yeah, it's a rubber tip and it's flat. So that's, see, and I always shake it out. I always give it a try. I'm gonna do one more of these.
On your colored slips, do they go bad after a period of time? Like you have it in your slip trailer for 6 months and you go back to use it. Is it gone bad or?
See, now I don't like this, so I'm gonna fix this. My line is wrong. The color doesn't go bad. You know, if you let it sit for a long time, and you're gonna need to hit it with a blender again. But no, the color is gonna be great. So I'm sorry if you guys can't see this very well.
How, and for cleaning out your bottles, you're just rinsing them out? Squeeze it out and rinse it?
They're really hard to clean. I had these bottles and I had to clean them yesterday. I sat there with a hose on the jet in the front yard. It was terrible. I don't clean them out every time. What I do, and I do need to show this to you, let me finish this, is you want to use a straight pin in, I'm almost done with this. Uh-oh, see, there's another mistake. Okay, this is it, and I'm done, and I'm going to show you the straight pins. Okay, so what you do, these come with covers, but you also put a pin in it. So basically, you just stick a pin in it, and that keeps it dry, and that keeps your tip from being clogged. If your tips get clogged, you just need to like sit here with a pin and fix it. So that's it. Sometimes they rust. Maybe I should get stainless steel pins. But I think that's it. And I recommend everyone just start playing with designs on newspaper. That's the way I do it. I never start anything on the pot. I have a nice table and I just design all over my frickin' table. And then I take a picture of it. And so I always start out on that. So I would recommend that you start with some newspaper. And then over here we have these little tiles we cut out for you. And everyone gets 2 of these. You could probably go over them with a rib first because they're kind of rough. We didn't smooth them for you.
How do you feel about using typos? Obviously not very good because you don't have any.
Oh, I never tried one. I want to try that.
I have several.
Yeah.
I've got, this one is actually meant as a slip trailer. It doesn't have a needle.
Yeah.
But I mean, I have one that actually does have a needle from when I had to give my cat drugs. I saved one and it's got a needle. I don't know if any slip.
Yeah, so other ideas are, I know some people do use this product called an air pen. I've never tried it, but you don't have to squeeze. It just, you turn the button on and it comes out. Yeah, and the other thing I want to mention is that all these things that we're doing with trailing, you can trail slip, you can trail glaze, you can trail underglaze, you can trail whatever you want. So any of the techniques you learn here, feel free to move on to different materials. As far as trailers too, yeah, I forgot to mention, if you have a large piece, you can use like a condiment bottle, you know, like the squeezy bottles, and use one of those for slip trailing, and you cut the end off to different thicknesses.